Now, sometimes when you're trying to synchronize multiple angles, it can get a bit tricky. Maybe there's no timecode to use, and maybe you're not satisfied with the results you're getting with audio sync. It could be that the shot was a wide angle, or that the audio had a lot of reverb and it was just drifting. In this case, we can actually turn to markers, adding a dedicated marker on a specific sync point that we want to use. It might be something visual that's happening in a scene. Maybe when someone grabs the edge of the podium or opens their eyes and looks up. You can find something to synchronize based upon action in the scene or audio that you hear. Remember, your ears and eyes are probably better than the automated intelligence inside of Premiere Pro. Let's go ahead and load up each angle here. I'll double click, and I'm just going to look for a piece of action that I can sync on. The slate looks like a good choice. Now, what's interesting here is that the sound of the clap is happening before the visual close. Let's go off of the visual close there, and I'll press M to add a marker. If you press MM twice, it actually brings up the Edit Marker dialog if you want to name the marker. But a single marker should do. I'll load up the next clip and look for that same sync point. There we go. Just using the arrow keys to step through. And that looks to be a good sync point. So M for marker. Here's the last one. And just use the arrow keys. Looks good. Now, once you have multiple markers added, those can be referenced as part of the synchronize operation. This process is pretty straightforward. Just make sure that the first marker that appears inside the clip is the one that you want to use. If you have other markers that were added as part of the logging process, you may need to go in and manually remove those first. Now, let's go ahead and select that master clip here. This angle will have both of them talking and likely will have clean audio for both angles. Then I'll select the other clips by shift-clicking, and I can right-click and choose to create the multi-camera source sequence. Now everything looks good, but we'll go off of clip marker instead of in point or timecode. And you see that it automatically reads that first marker in. I'll have the sequence preset automatically match, and we'll tell the audio to stay with the first angle selected, the two-shot that should have clean audio. That looks good, and let's click OK. Now we've got our source sequence, and with a right click, I can make a new sequence from that clip. Let's take a look at the multi-camera editor here and maximize the window, and we'll take a look and see if everything lines up. Let's jump in a little bit more. You'll notice here, by the way, that on some of the angles, the cameras started at different times. It looks to me like the cameras were being operated by one operator who turned on one angle, framed it up, and then went to the next and the next. All right. Now let's take a listen.
All your fashion dilemmas, and we're going to fix them too. How you doing, Anita?
I'm doing great.
Thanks for coming.
I'm so excited to be here.
It's fun to be in the studio. We can really take everything apart and figure out where we're going with your wardrobe. What'd you bring me?
Excellent. Reset one more just like that. Keep the cameras rolling. Let's jump forward again.
Going to help solve all your fashion dilemmas. Thanks for coming. Let's talk to Anita and find out what her problem is.
Reset. It looks to me like all the angles are
I
synchronized.
said the first time it was so good.
It's okay. Just try it. And as we cut between the different angles, they match up.